Okay, so in this video we're going to take a look at our pieces and how CraftMaker Pro will take care of the inventory for your parts and also how to price your pieces correctly as well. So if we go into the pieces section on our main menu, click in here, and we've got our list view here. You'll always come into the list view. If you need to add a new piece, then you'll just click on the new up the top here in the menu, and that will bring you into the detail view that you'll start filling in. I'm going to use one of the examples that we've got here, which is our clay pair. So we'll click into here and we'll go through this one. So this is where you would start out with a new piece. Basically you'll fill in your piece name, give it a category, SKU numbers will be assigned, and then size and weight will get calculated by CraftMaker Pro depending on the parts that you add to it and if you've actually used the dimensions, weights and volumes for those when you've added them to your inventory. So you put in an item description. So here we've just got a green clay pair, how many pieces you've made, and then it's going to tell you how many you've got in stock, and the stock count will adjust as you actually sell pieces. So as you add them to an invoice or a consignment order, then they'll actually come out of stock. Now to create your piece you need to add parts to it. So I'm just going to use this part that we've got here basically, which is our green clay. So all you do is you click on add part, you'll fill in a quantity, and then the part name that you've actually got will be filled in, and the unit price and the details from your parts inventory. And what I want to show you here, so we've got the weight for this example here, so we've got 0.5 of a kilo. We've used 0.5 of a kilo of our green clay here, and I want to show you how this actually works out with our inventory. So if we see here, we're using 0.5, so that makes this weigh 0.5. If we have a quick flick to our part inventory tab, okay, so in here this will show us the parts that are used to create the piece. So we can see we're using some green clay, and what we've got in stock here is 14.5 kilos basically left in stock. If we go back to our pricing, okay, and I'm just going to edit this to make it 1. Okay, so now we've got 1 kilo. Our weight has adjusted to 1 kilo. And if you go to our part inventory, we now have in stock 14 kilos because we've added an extra half kilo basically. Before this was 14.5, and we've now gone from 0.5 to 1 kilo that we're using in our pair. So our in stock number has reduced by that 0.5. So we now have 14 kilos left in stock. So every time you basically add a part to a piece, it will keep taking out of stock, and you can flick back to your parts from here as well. Okay, so we'll just go back to pricing and we'll see if we just put that back 0.5. okay, it's 0.5 of a kilo. If we look back at our part inventory, we'll see it's back here at 14.5 now. So it always keeps track of your parts inventory. Okay, with the size and weights, the dimensions, weights and volumes tab, we'll have a quick look in here. This is covered in more detail in another video. There are some nuances that you need to make sure of in here, which is basically making sure that your units of measurement match up to what your parts are. If you have discrepancies between here and you're adding parts that are entered into your inventory in ounces and other parts that are added as kilos, then CraftMaker Pro is going to have trouble adding that up together. You can do conversions, but it will have trouble putting it together. So if you do find issues with that, that will probably be the problem, but please watch the tutorial on the dimensions, weights and volumes tabs, how you edit that and how you use this properly. The assembly instructions here, so if you need to put in some detailed information on how you actually create a piece, if you have something that's quite difficult to create or you just need to keep notes for future reference, you can add those in here. You can add in a picture, so here we've got a nice picture of our smiley green pair, and that will be used on your catalogues or bills of materials if you need to put that on there. The Facebook data, so you can upload and share this on Facebook, and this will be covered in the Facebook sharing tutorial, so you can watch that one on there. And if it's on consignment, so if you've actually put pieces out on consignment, then they'll be listed in here where they are, and a sales history tab here, so this will list where they're sold as well, so you can go through and get all that information in there. Okay, we'll go back to the pricing. So what I want to cover here now is how this actually prices. So if we just we'll use this simple example with just using some green clay to make it easy. So Craftmaker Pro has worked out we're using half a kilo, half a unit basically. The unit price is $4.66, so half of that is $2.33. We haven't added any tax at the part area, so there's no tax on there. If we go into our costs, so this is where Craftmaker Pro will basically work out the cost for you to create your piece, which is obviously very important because you've got to know what it costs before you can then mark it up and sell it, because you want to make a profit. So our cost of materials is $2.33 just in this example. There wasn't any tax added to those. Our hours required to make this, so I've just put 1 in here, and our hourly rate that we have done from our hourly rate calculator has been set already to $20. So we can see our labour is $20, so 1 times 20 obviously makes $20. If we change that to 2, we'll see obviously our item label will adjust accordingly. It's $40 now. So we'll just leave that at 1. If you do need to override this, you can actually override your hourly rate here. We could actually just make that 18, for example, and we can see it goes bold. If it's in bold, it means it's been manually overridden, and we can see it's changed it over here. To change this back, you just need to click on the question mark. View will take you back into your calculator. You can edit that, change or cancel. If we want to change it back, we just click on change. It's going to go back to what we've got set in our hourly rate calculator. Other costs, so here we've just put $2.50. This could be packaging, ribbons, boxing, gift wrapping, whatever it might be. Anything else that you're adding to this before it goes out the door on sale. So essentially what we then end up with, we've got our total cost of materials, our labour and our other. So we now know what it's actually cost to make this piece. So from here we can work out the markups. So if we go into our sale price tab, now we've got wholesale, direct and suggested retail. Now the way that these work is these are suggested prices for wholesale, direct and suggested retail markups. So you can actually edit these if you want. So this is not a fixed price. If you only want to mark up twice for wholesale, or if you want to mark up more for wholesale, you can edit this. So we could change that to 4 if we want. That's fine. These different prices then become available on the options in your invoice. So when you add a piece to an invoice, you will see the different options for pricing on there. Okay, but they're suggested only. You can edit those to suit. And the markup as well. So the markup will mark up the cost of your materials and other. It does not mark up the cost of your labour. Okay, so if we go back to the costs a second, and this is something that some people get confused with. Okay, we are not marking up the hourly rate. Okay, because we've already worked out what our hourly rate is. If you're unsure of that and you haven't seen it, check out the hourly rate calculator. But you know what your hourly rate should actually be, so there is no need to mark that up. We would not be doubling that. So when we go back to our sale price tab, we can see here we're marking up by 2.5 times. So our sale price is $28.33, gross profit $3.50. Obviously that would be not correct. You'd want to be selling something making more than $3.50 really. But this is just an example. But we're not doing 2.5 times, if we look back at our cost, okay, we're not doing 2.5 times $24.83. We're actually doing 2.5 times the cost of our materials and other. That's all we're really marking up. Okay, so that's how our markup works. Same across there. If you're selling on Etsy, you can use our Etsy calculator. We have another video tutorial for that, and if you'd like to watch the Etsy tutorial, that will show you how this works. But essentially you can work out what you need to sell something for on Etsy, including their fees, PayPal fees, etc. So you can use that one and watch the video tutorial for that. If we just take a quick look in the alerts here, so this will give us any alerts if we've actually set one in here. So if we were to set this, so we want to alert us when that reaches 2, okay, then this will become an alert. We can see our alerts down here anyway, so this goes red if we have any alerts, and any pieces that are in alert will actually appear red in our list view. It should come off here, so we can see if we're not selecting that line, we can see this actually goes red, so we can see if anything's in alarm in there. Okay, so we'll just go back, we'll take that one off, just delete that. Okay, so that's it. So you basically create your piece, type in the details for it, put in the description, add the parts as you go through. So you'll just click in here, add the parts from your list and select whatever you need. Go through the costs, which CraftMaker Pro will work out for you. So you've got the total cost of everything, and then put your hourly rate. You've got your sale price. You can edit the markups if required. And then you've created your first piece. Oh, and also adding in your picture as well. So if you add in your picture in here, that will be helpful for you. Okay, so we'll go on to the next tutorial after this, and we'll see you in the future.